Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road, and you're ready to go if you want to. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. Live Music Nation Podcast Festival Edition. Today we are with Sally Oliver. She is with the House of Wine. Or is it wines plural? Plural?
It is wines. We are a plural in the wine category.
More than one wine. They own a restaurant. Yep. They're in Ohio. I already told her beforehand we're going to visit and never leave because the House of Wines is perfect. They host an Oktoberfest. Sally, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So our Oktoberfest, I've owned the business for 11 years now, and I've hosted it for 11 years. I love an excuse to get together, and we are more than just the House of Wines. So we have a very large craft beer selection, probably anywhere from 400 to 800 different types of craft beer at any given time. So I always call fall beer season because it's kind of when you get out and you get that harvest food going, and Oktoberfests are coming out. You know, the big hit with the pumpkin beers. There's always a little contest of what was the best pumpkin beer. So this is actually a day we do no wine because we don't sell wine on Sundays, but we are allowed to sell beer on Sundays. So riddle me that, but that's why we do it on a Sunday. I can probably tell you a little bit about what the House of Wines is.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your family and your career first before we jump into the festival. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually the business is owned. I'm the sole operating owner. But I do have a partner. My parents helped me started 11 years ago. So there's that family component there. But it's just me and my lovely cat, Sadie. So that's the family component. I have a family farm in Cambridge, Ohio, which is about 45 minutes north, where my brother and sister-in-law raise some chickens, and we do use those eggs on our menu. Okay. And I grow most of the herbs for the restaurant. So there's that component as well.
Fantastic. So I looked at your page. You do daily specials with wine as you go through there. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk? Have you met Gary V?
Gary V? No. Tell me about.
So he does winelibrary.com. He and his family they started a couple liquor stores in Jersey, and now he's a major investor in Facebook and Twitter. And anyway, so he's always talking about wine. We're always listening to his podcast. So we're very well educated. Your menu looks incredible as you go through there. So I think not only do we want people to stop by for Oktoberfest on that Sunday, but I'm just thinking they need to stop by anyways, other times of the year. Let's jump into Oktoberfest. 3 questions that always help our listeners put this on their map. What does it look like? What does it smell like? Meaning food and drink. And what does it sound like? What kind of activities are going on? Is it all ages? Those kind of things.
All right. It is not all ages. This is a 21 plus event. What does it look like? Well, the House of Wines is located on the Muskingum River in Marietta, Ohio. So you're looking at waterfront, and there's really nothing across the river. So it's a beautiful scene. And when you look upriver, you can see the dam. It's nice. That day it smells like a grill. So I am, in addition to the owner of the House of Wines, I am also the chef. I'm a classically French trained chef. So while we do those fun, easy, accessible foods that day, they are done in a classic traditional French style. Let's see, what was another question? Look, smell.
And then sounds. Yeah. What kind of activities are going on through the day?
It's loud. It's good that it's outside. So we have Vinny and the Lubricators there. They are a local band of ours, and they do originals and covers. And I always say Vinny brings the good times because he really does. So there's live music and just talking about beer and yelling across the table about beer because how close you are to the band or not. But,
right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about you. You have some keen interest in this. Where did your interest start in the culinary arts?
Oh, that's a kind of a funny story. So when I was 16, I went to a wedding, and at that time, I don't know if anybody remembers the fad of chocolate fountains. There was a chocolate fountain at this wedding, and we live in Southern Appalachia here, so we did not have access to a chocolate fountain, and I wanted one at my 16th birthday. So I bought one. It was a commercial grade machine, and that was my first business at 16. And at 18, I was our Chamber of Commerce business person of the year or young entrepreneur of the year. I forget what the verbiage was. But I was pretty good at that. And about the time that fad fizzled out, I graduated high school and went to culinary school and hospitality management. So that was kind of the start of the road. It all started with a birthday party. And then I spent some time in California on internships, Ritz-Carlton and Half Moon Bay, schools in Vermont. That's a very cool state to learn food, as you can imagine. And then I lived in Boston for about 4 years after college before I came back to my hometown and purchased a legacy restaurant.
When did you decide when did you decide that being a sole proprietor and a restaurant owner, when did you decide that was for you?
I was sitting in somebody else's office at 2 a.m. trying to figure out a $20 discrepancy, and I was tired. And I had been the kind of talking with my parents at the time. I was 22, about what my next steps were. I kind of plateaued in management at that point, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And about once I decided on purchasing the House of Wines, it took about 8 months to get that liquor license. So I did have some growing and anxiety during that downtime.
Yeah.
But sure. Yeah, I guess doing somebody else's money and being like, no, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for myself.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you've got some interesting laws. I mean, every state's different with how they treat liquor, and
every county is different.
Yeah.
So not only every state, every city, every county, and then we also have different rules within each township. So that's also, the government side of things.
Sure.
That's the learning curve.
So what would you say the best part of your job is right now?
Food and wine pairing. I love it.
Really?
Yes. We do a wine dinner every month.
Okay.
Except for September, because we have that big beer event, and it's just a whole beer month of stuff. But yeah, I love making connections with winemakers, wine reps, going to shows, and then bringing them to Marietta to do a dinner with me. And that's probably the most fun I have.
So talk a little bit about the wine and food pairing. When you do that, we'll see that on menus sometimes. When you travel, you'll see that, and it's good with such and such. What percentage of people pay attention to that? And if it's a low percentage, how do you get them to really pay attention to it?
I wouldn't say it's as much pay attention as it is just interest. I definitely have some regulars at these dinners that come to everyone every month, and we love them, of course. And then we get the people who are there and they're nervous because they don't get to choose. They just get that 6-course menu, that prefix. And some people love that. And I definitely think our culture is opened up to that kind of European style of eating more than massive portions. And I wouldn't say it's a large percentage, but I appreciate the people who do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And wine is casual. I'm always preaching that wine is not fancy. Wine is accessible. Drink it on a Tuesday. It's fine.
So we're always watching Shark Tank. And that's the one thing that we have learned. Well, I have learned in watching wine is there's just that they know there's that price point, because just exactly what you said, wine is casual. And if you're going to create a new wine or you want to get in the market, if you're not within that $12 to $20 bottle of wine market, you're fighting an uphill battle.
It's definitely a gap there.
I'm assuming that you have a wide variety of wines, and you have the opportunity for people that really want to spend the extra money and can appreciate the value in that. But I'm assuming that you have, like you said, wine is very casual as you go through there. Perfect. Okay. Couple of fun questions, because I am in live music and live entertainment. I just asked these next 2 questions to survey in general. Sally, what's the best concert you've ever been to your entire life?
Pink.
Pink. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
I just saw some video. I think it was.
She's a good time.
Yeah, it was incredible what they were doing. I don't know how they don't get out of breath doing all the dancing. That just blows me away.
She's fit. That's for sure.
No doubt. If you could bring one concert to Marietta, Ohio, dead or alive, who would you bring?
Dolly Parton. Everybody loves Dolly Parton.
Really? Well, you're not far from. Yeah, you're not far.
Ask one person that who doesn't like Dolly Parton. Everybody loves Dolly in one way or another. So
that might be the first.
I'm a restaurant. Yeah, I'd bring Dolly.
That might be the first Dolly Parton we've ever gotten.
Okay.
And you're right. It makes sense. It's perfect. but I've never had anyone say that's great. Fantastic.
All right.
How do people find out more? How do people find out more about House of Wines, Sally, you, and Oktoberfest?
I would suggest following our Facebook page. Okay. That's where I really do daily, or Instagram, same thing. Instagram, Facebook page is posted both places. And then it is houseofwines.com. The House of Wines was taken. So it is houseofwines.com. And we are located in Marietta, Ohio. Please travel to come see us. It's a huge event. There's like 50 different beers to try. It's a punch card system. There's food. There's a public park next door to Meandering. It's a good time. It's one of my favorite days out of the year.
People will definitely come. Thanks for being on with us, Sally. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go if you want to?